What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Riding the Bench Eagles podcast. I'm Asif Badi. This is a clip from the YouTube show, so please do me a favor, hit the like button, subscribe, and give me your thoughts in the comments section below. Without further ado, on with the show.
There are days where AJ is going to have a great ball, but he's on a great team, and he needs to be able to feel comfortable with being on a great team and realizing what that's about. If he doesn't want to be on that, that's where I'm coming back to this meeting, right? If we've said all that and AJ goes, that doesn't work for me, right? In that scenario, I have to move on from him. And I'm going to go to Cleveland and be like, do you want AJ Brown? Because we'll give you AJ Brown. We'll give you 2 first rounders if you can give us Myles Garrett. And I'm taking that. This is coming from a guy who we were talking before. I was like, I don't want to give away lots of first round picks to get Myles Garrett. Like I wouldn't take 3, for instance, three first rounders for Myles Garrett does not work for us in Howie's long-term scheme, because first of all, you're adding one. He just signed a new monster contract, so now we're already trying to save to be able to pay some of our other players in this team. So now we're gonna give up first rounders, so our future and then add another major contract again onto the table while keeping also AJ Brown's major contract. That means that we're going to have to get rid of even more players in the offseason rather than having this long-term plan that Howie's got going to be able to have long-term success. But if I'm trading AJ's contract and AJ's coming off the table, Myles Garrett's contract is going to be a lot less of a burden because I've now lost AJ's contract. So for me, then that makes more sense. But I'm not giving away 3 picks, hold all up for that contract.
You wouldn't give 3 first-round picks for Myles Garrett, even though the contract. I don't know. I'm not. Exactly
think about our last few first-round picks, right? Jahad Campbell, Quinyon Mitchell, Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith. By the way, that's 4. By the way, right? How crucial are those players right now? You want to trade? You want to trade? If we have one Myles Garrett, but you don't have those 4 players, I guarantee you our defense isn't as good. Because those players are our guys, those guys that we've invested in. By the way, Jalen Carter has a much higher value on the market than Myles Garrett. And I want to keep Jalen Carter. I want to sign him to a long-term deal.
You think he's going to get like the big I mean, he's going to get 30 mil. There's no doubt about that. He's going to get 30 mil. But like,
so for me,
the cap room
I don't see it happening unless AJ is part of the deal. To be honest, I don't think Howie's that stupid.
But
I think Howie, if you look at what has Howie been doing, forget about our dreams for a second. Look at what's actually happening in reality. What are the moves that Howie Roseman? What was the most recent move Howie Roseman just made? We traded for Michael Carter. Michael Carter, I thought I wanted Tyreek Woolen, as I said. With Michael Carter, and what was before? He traded for Ja'Cory Bennett. Is he a needle mover? No. He's making slight tiny moves to kind of just slightly patch up the holes, but I don't think necessarily to a high standard. Right. He traded for Mechie before. Now he's traded him out. He traded for. By the way, he traded for
Tank Bigsby. Building the depth of the roster.
Right, but then getting away 3 picks. By the way, his thing is, I want to build up these picks, so I want to have all these picks to go. That way that I can create a team that's got long-term success. I've already got a winning team. I'm going to start adding, a boatload of draft picks and add it to that team so that we've got players of a younger age profile who are Philadelphia Eagles from the jump. And I've got them on rookie contracts. Then I can, that's what he wants. Myles Garrett strictly just for 3 picks doesn't really go along with that plan, because now we've got a lot of big contracts on the team as it is, which didn't give us flexibility to make the moves that that would have made us excited. We're going to continue. Then we're going to make one big move, but I think it ruins Howie's long-term plan. I don't know if he's willing to give it up.
Isn't Myles Garrett's cap hit really low considering the contract that he has? I don't know. I don't know
maybe for this year,
the contract that he has is going to be the hit that it's going to be next year.
No, but it won't be if we trade. That's what I'm saying. If you trade AJ in that.
But if you trade AJ, your dead cap hit is huge. If you trade him by the trade deadline this year. You have to wait till the offseason for that to be the case, I believe, if that's the plan.
Yeah.
But again, with Myles Garrett, I'm not exactly sure how the contract is structured. I believe, again, I heard this on Jacob, so like take it for what it's worth.
No, by the way, if you heard it, like I haven't watched much at all this week
Yeah,
because I've
I have to
I've
look
been
into it
making
too
my
because
own
I don't
content.
quite understand
Yeah,
the NFL
to be honest,
contract myself.
during the week I'll tune in like this now because last year I had my own channel, but it was not very high profile channel. I'm trying to get there. I'm on
Slowly
my
but
way
surely.
slowly but surely.
You and me
But
both.
now I've done similar career move to like to what Tone was doing by signing on and starting to work with Jacob. Now I'm working on a different network called the Football Terrace, and so I'm kind of trying to take that sort of route now in my career. So I have got people who are like, Anton, I need you to be on this show, I need to be on this show, I need to be on this show, and I literally have to be prepping and planning and knowing what I want to say for those things, and so I can't be like watching a bunch of shows. So I'm not necessarily paying attention to what
Every single, yeah.
you're right. So, but if Johnny Mack, for instance, is your source of information, I take what he says seriously because he's in the building every single day. So, like, if your source of information is Johnny Mack, I believe it. Just Dan Cilio, by the way, himself is a good source of information because he's very well connected.
Yeah, but he's not like
But he's getting it from a third, fourth party source.
No,
a friend he's got in the NFL rather than directly from it.
Talked about like what the cap hit would be for Myles Garrett for the next couple of years, and it's like really, really low in comparison to the contract that he got paid. And because the cap hit moves up every single, or not the cap hit, the cap space moves up every year for every team, I think it almost offsets whatever that increase would be. You know what I'm saying? Plus, Dallas Goedert's probably not going to be a Philadelphia Eagle next year, which is also why you probably heard David Njoku being part of trade discussions too. I'm sure, right?
Well, Njoku and Garrett, what are we doing here?
Well, yeah, right. But okay, I guess just from a philosophy standpoint, because I found it interesting what you said. You believe trading 3 first-round picks straight up for Myles Garrett is not necessarily what's best for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Because here's why. That's a desperate move. We already won a Super Bowl, and we can do it without him. We don't need Myles. We have, by the way, players who, I know we were talking about some of this Timu, and a lot of people have issues sometimes with our edge rushers, and of course, but I'm actually noticing over the past few weeks, by the way, Joshua Uche's performances have grown tremendously. He's on a 1-year deal, of course, so he's not like a cornerstone. Nolan's out, but he will be returning eventually. He's the cornerstone of this team. Jahad Campbell has got the versatility to play that, especially with Nakobe back. I think we were discussing this before when Hatchery got drafted, that we think that long-term he might end up being a pass rusher for the Eagles. That might come into play now that Nakobe's healthy in order for him to have more minutes on this defense. And Jahad's been great, I think, for me in his rookie season. So you've got that. I think Jalix Hunt has his performances picked up in recent weeks. So I think the pass rush, while it's not elite, you don't have a great elite player there. As long as you've got Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis at the heart on the defensive line, and those two players need to stay healthy because Jalen has been in and out. And as long as you got Zach Bond and a healthy Nakobe Dean, and you got your secondary pieces playing up to scratch, I don't think obviously it'd be great. It'd be like let's make this team amazing and let's go all in to win back to back, right? But I think how we were saying, and these words came out of your mouth, right? You were saying this last year. You would be happy to not win this year if that meant that we get to keep all those assets and be able to draft players, because our drafting record over recent years has been incredible. We are drafting stars.
Very good.
You're drafting stars, right? We're not missing, especially in the first or second rounds in recent years. We're not, right? Days of our J.J. Arthega-Whiteside and Jalen Reagor are far behind us at this point, right? We're talking about pandemic / pre-pandemic. We're at 2025. We're 5 years away from COVID, right? So,
wouldn't that? But like, I guess what I'm saying is we have a lot of comp picks, and we have a lot of picks from like really bad teams, like the Jets, for example, from the Hassan Reddick trade, which is basically just a high-end second-round pick because they haven't won. They only won 1 game thus far. We have a lot of comp picks that we're going to be getting from all these acquisitions that we have. Do you really think having 3 first-round picks being out of
Yeah,
Howie
because
Roseman's
you just
pocket.
think about
Considering,
that.
especially if we, let's say if we do get him, you think we'd win the Super Bowl with or without him, right?
Yes,
Like that's where you are. So
that's
over
what
the
I meant.
over the next 2 or 3 years,
The only conversation I'll be having with him, as I say, I'll reiterate again.
Yeah.
If it is we've discussed AJ and we've come to the conclusion that he has no future in this team based on both our interests and his interest, and he's made it clear, like, you don't want to keep a player who doesn't believe in the project and he's going to be a nuisance. You want to kind of, it's forget about the cap hits and everything like that. That's the only way where I'm trading for Myles Garrett, because I've got a big piece, a big asset that I'm all of a sudden willing to move on from because we've come to this conclusion, right?
But why can't we have it all? Why can't we have AJ Brown still be on the team and also get a guy like Myles Garrett?
Because we're gonna go back into the situation where we're gonna have players leaving this football team, and we're gonna have to probably trade some players on the offensive side anyway that we probably want to keep in order to balance those contracts. We want to pay Jordan Davis, by the way, just pick up the option. His contract is also coming up. I think Jordan Davis' performance this season definitely warrants an extension. So we want to be able to pick up Jordan Davis. You want to get Jalen Carter. These are players that we have developed ourselves, that we want to reward ourselves for them, and they are already part of teams that are winning championships. I get it. You want to build an all-star team, but I'll tell you what I told the fans of Liverpool FC. Mm-hmm. You know, you already won last year, and then they went and decided to go. You probably don't know who these people are unless you are a football player. They decided to go and get Alexander Isak, who is last year was the best striker in the Premier League, and Florian Wirtz, who is one of the best players in the world. They added them to their team. Now they've lost 6 out of 7, and they were supposed to be the favorites, and they've fallen off because they're like, oh, look at this great championship winning team. We've added these great players to it. It doesn't. It's not always that works that way. You know what I mean? Like, when you have you have a system that works and you have players that are championship winning players for you that have a role, you don't know what the knock-on effects are. Jalen Carter might look at the side-eyed and be like, but you brought in Myles Garrett to this team on this contract. Like, what about me? I thought you were, I mean, he's going to think about it. He's going to be like, well, I thought you were going to be about to give me this money. You promised me all this.
Changing Howie Roseman's ability to manipulate the cap then at that point. Because
no, but what you're also doing, no. You have to keep it a buck, right?
Okay.
Because you also said, are we sure? Like, are we like loving these first round picks because you got all these comp picks? What does Howie like to do? Does he ever stick with the pick that he's got in the draft? Mm-hmm. You can use the comp picks, other picks he's got, to be able to move up and trade up in the first round. So you have so that's that. I'd rather have that than just being able manipulating the cap is him like just trying to stay afloat and keeping all this stuff together. At a certain point, the rules are the rules, and you've got so many huge contracts on your team, it starts to hamstring you. I've never really been this let's make a big swing and make a Myles Garrett guy unless we were willing to part ways with one of our own big contracts. So in essence, I know AJ's contract's not nowhere as big as Myles Garrett, but it's still a very big contract.
Yeah, for sure.
And so it makes the impact of Myles Garrett's. By the way, AJ Brown's contract is also well structured because it was made by Howie Roseman. So it's sort of like you're just making that impact of adding Myles Garrett to the team less, which still enables you then to give the contracts that you wanted to youngsters elsewhere. Because we're not just even talking about Jalen Carter. We're talking about down the line, we're talking about Quinion, we're talking about Cooper, we're talking about hopefully Jahad Campbell whenever that day comes a few years down the line as well. Players that we want to sign. Nolan, I think Nolan's going to be a great player for our organization. I know he's had a tough year with injury, but I think he's still a great player, and I think he's going to be a stalwart at the defensive end position for us for the long term. So those are the players who I'd rather keep. The scarier thing for teams, like you can stomach a Rams putting together an unstoppable roster for a season and winning a Super Bowl and dropping off the face of the earth, right? Because you know that drop-off is going to happen. So you're like, all right, what you can't stomach for the other teams around is having a team and a roster that's constructed so well that it keeps winning, and they're young and they're not going anywhere. And that's what Howie wants. And so I don't believe that Howie's making this roster.
I don't think he's going to be able to pull
And by
it
the
off
way,
either.
this is the history, right?
Yeah.
Every single high profile thing that's being
he's always in the room. He's always talking.
Never happens.
Yeah,
there's a reason why it's on the media. The moves that happen come out of thin air. AJ Brown on draft day, I was getting ready, sitting there to draft to pick, and all of a sudden we have AJ Brown, and like what?
Yeah,
that's what Howie Roseman does.
Yeah, I think right now it's Myles Garrett talk, but it's really going to be Jalen Phillips or something like that. I think that's what's going to end up being, like a third-round pick that we give to the Miami Dolphins to get a player like that. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, in that sense, I agree with you. I don't think Myles Garrett's going to be on the team, but I think the idea of having Myles Garrett on this team, I know you say it doesn't fit the timeline. I tend to disagree. I think a lot of the contracts, the way they're structured, are 2-3-year contracts anyway in Philadelphia, and as they are finishing up, players are going to retire. Reed's going to obviously not get re-signed in Philadelphia.
Those players are starting to become few far between. A lot of those guys are retiring. Have gone. We got one coming back, but he's obviously going to go back to retirement.
But I also think there's going to be a transition where
the only one really is Lane really remaining from that.
Lane's going to obviously retire, but like I think there's going to be a transition in the next 2
years. You want to when Lane retires, you want to have the money to invest on the O line because that's
or at that point in 2 or 3 years you'll have the first round picks once again to invest in that draft capital, and then all of a sudden
I'd rather have someone before that.
What I'm saying is right now, because our offense is the expensive asset on the team, right? It's like $250 million.
Right, it's going to have to balance.
And then the defense is really low. I have a feeling like if, let's say, you do get the Myles Garrett deal happening, that transition is going to start to happen slowly but surely again, where now the defense you're paying the big contracts to, and all your draft capital in the next 2 or 3 years are going to be put in investing in the offense and the offensive line and all the skill players, and then it's going to keep flipping. And Howie Roseman always has these years where he goes from really, really high success to a really, really low. But he always comes in waves.
Whenever, though, my question to you is, whenever has Howie Roseman made a Les Snead sort of decision and just traded the ship and invested in a player to come in elsewhere? Because he's never done it.
He tried to do that. He tried to do that with Micah Parsons in the offseason, did he not?
I know, thank God he didn't. Although he's been playing well.
He's been excellent though in Green Bay.
By the way, I think he's upped his levels in Green Bay. I think it was the greatest move for his career.
Dallas, it's what it is, but like it ain't Micah Parsons' fault, man. Like Micah Parsons is a great player, you know. So, well, like you said, he has upped his game, but he did try to clear cap space for a guy like.
And I just said, by the way, Myles Garrett, as I already said, is the best individual defender in
first ballot Hall of Famer, probably. The guy's insane. Yeah.
But like, so was Aaron. I mean, okay, Aaron Donald again.
Aaron Donald's a different animal.
A drafted player, but you know what I'm saying. But they went in and they got Von Miller, who was a Super Bowl champion. Mm-hmm. You know, he only played a few months there before he moved on. They brought in Odell, right? Mm-hmm. Odell obviously gets hurt in that Super Bowl tragically, and you know his career has never been the same. But like, I understand like putting in all your chips, but we don't need to. We already won. Like we already won. Even if we don't win this year, we're still in a position to win. We don't need to do it. We like it's.
Well, listen, you don't need.
And you don't know how it works out. You don't know if the chemistry.
You don't need to eat like that third slice or fourth slice of pizza.
You don't know if Myles Garrett goes. I'm this Myles Garrett, Vic Fangio. Fuck you. You have no idea. Like there's so many different things that could happen.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
You just don't know.
That's fair. That's a fair point. Right.
Like Vic Fangio likes to have defenders who are willing to be really coachable and being able to be flexible to try different things. When you're a guy who's already got the credit in the bank of being one of the greatest defenders, you're a lot less willing to sort of sit back and be humble and allow Vic Fangio to move around like a chess piece. I think maybe the one reasons why Howie might have been willing to go with Micah is Micah has a history of being able to be willing to be used as a chess piece. Because he was brought into the NFL to play inside linebacker. He's now a pass rusher, one of the best there is in the game, because Dallas was willing to move him around and change.
They moved him outside linebacker. They put him on the inside.
I think that's more that because maybe Micah fits into what we're trying to do. And maybe Myles can. I'm just playing devil's advocate here.
I get you. Understood. Yeah. No, I hear you. I got you.
Yeah.
Hey, man. Interesting conversation again, but that's what's hot right now in Philadelphia. super hot, as the quote is all over Twitter and stuff like that, for Myles Garrett. Again, I have a feeling we're going to settle for Jalen Phillips and get him for like a 3rd round pick. Low risk, high reward. Who's a good player. I think he's a good player too, and I think he'd be just the right fit in Philadelphia. I'd be happy with him being here in Philadelphia. But hey, thank you so much for watching the Riding the Bench Eagles podcast. If you want to continue to support the channel, please hit the like and subscribe button down below. Also, check us out on Instagram and TikTok at Riding the Bench Eagles Pod. We're also on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, you name it, we're on there. Thank you so much for listening, and please join us next time here at the Riding the Bench Eagles Podcast.